My name is Sonal Jagasia, and I am from Fairfax, Virginia.
Wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about this new project and the character you'll be playing?
Yes, so Good Bad Cop, I'm going to be playing the prosecutor in this particular role, and I'm excited.
So what attracted you to this particular role, and what made you want to be a part of this project?
Sure, so I read just briefly about this role and was excited to hear more about it. I tend to gravitate towards roles that have a professional character, somebody that's sort of a straight shooter, to the point, smart, and the prosecutor role really seemed to fit that pretty well.
So how do you approach preparing for a new character? Can you share some insight on your process?
Yeah, so, approaching a new character, it's a different experience every time. Each character, our role as actors is to really absorb and understand a new character in the setting that they are built in. But that being said, I think it would be a mistake to say, we learn a new character, we absorb a new role, and then we act it. I think there's a whole other piece to that, which is introspection, right? As actors, we bring our own experiences, our own life experiences, our own professional experiences, our own emotional experiences, and we connect that with the character in the way that it's written for a particular film. And that's really how I try to approach each and every role. It's not just about the way the character is written on paper, that's certainly a part of it, but bringing in your own experience and your own introspection into making the character a whole person and a whole story.
What kind of research or background work did you undertake to better understand the world of your character?
Sure. So, a prosecutor being a lawyer is, that's not my profession. I'm actually a psychiatrist, and that's my day job. And so, learning the character of a lawyer is a whole different world altogether. So, researching what a prosecutor is, what do they do, how is it different compared to a defendant, how is it different compared to the lawyers that you see working in their desk jobs, what distinguishes a prosecutor from other types of lawyers, was really important. And then sort of fishing for other movies and other, shows where there is a strong female lawyer presence, Erin Brockovich, for example, digging back and really trying to research, other women that have played lawyer roles on TV, and understanding what they sort of bring, and then making a distinction with what I can bring to make this character particularly unique is really how I start to research.
Wonderful. Are there any challenges or unique aspects to this character that you are excited to explore?
I think that will come as we dig into the script, as I learn more about, what this character, what their background is, what makes them tick, what they stand for, what they're trying to accomplish. I think that will come more naturally as we get more into the weeds of learning more about who this particular person is.
How do you plan to bring depth and authenticity to the portrayal of your character?
Yeah, so I think that's the magic question as actors, right? It's anybody can read a script and anybody can rehearse and memorize lines and come up and repeat them, rinse and repeat. And I think that's, that's sort of the X factor, the magical piece of what sort of brings, a script into sort of a life form and into sort of a real form. And I think that's where, again, your own life experiences, your own emotions, and your own drives behind what's sort of written in the script is what really brings a person to life. So I hope I'm able to achieve that.
Are there any specific techniques or acting methods you employ for this role, you plan to employ for this role?
There's a lot of acting methods. There's a lot of techniques. You can learn a lot of things in classes, right? The Meisner technique, this technique, that technique. We learn all of those things as actors, right? We've taken classes, we've learned the basics, we've read books. Again, I think what distinguishes, reading a script and bringing in different techniques into a role versus what makes a character real is your own personal growth, is your own personal experience, is your own, the own life form that you create individually. And there's nothing that can prepare you for that, right? You give somebody a blank canvas and they could have taken all the art classes in the world, but what they're going to create that particular day or that particular moment is going to be completely different than what they would in a different moment or a different day. And I think that's what's really beautiful about making movies and acting is you dig from within you in that moment and you see what comes out. And that's where the magic happens. So yes, there are techniques, but and those will all be sort of in the background. But the reality is, the spark and the magic will happen in the moment, in that particular day.
What are your expectations for this project, and what will you hope your audience takes away from your performance?
I hope that, I hope the audience can really get to know this character more than just what's seen on the screen and more than just what the words say. I hope the audience can really connect with who this individual is, based on every little, movement, every little twitch, every little emotion that's portrayed. I hope the depth will be visible to others. Every person is so unique, and that's really what I hope to be able to bring to this particular individual. Big role or small role. It's not about what's said on camera, it's more about what's shown and what the audience feels. And I hope they will feel something with this character.
How does this project differ from previous roles that you've had?
Yeah, I think certainly, this role is very unique. I have never played a prosecutor on film, right? Every role that I've played prior to this point has been a completely different role. I've played a school teacher, on stage, a woman who, in the midst of political turmoil, had to figure out how to take care of her family, for example. I've played a doctor on film for a sci-fi movie. I've played so many different, types of people. I've played the girlfriend of a cop in a time travel movie. So, you can't take those experiences and translate it to this. This is going to be a completely different, new and unique, person and story altogether.
Is there a particular scene or moment in the script that you particularly look forward to filming?
I am really looking forward to, those moments when the character comes to life and can really show you sort of what she's made of. And maybe those are the moments sort of in the courtroom, where, the entire, sort of story kind of progresses to a point where the prosecutor can stand up and do what she's really sort of good at. And I hope to be able to show that, portray that well.
How do you balance staying true to the character while incorporating your own creative choices and interpretations?
Yeah, I think this is where, the balance has to be just right. If an actor comes in only bringing what their own experiences and not what the script portrays, I think the character can be completely lost. Whereas an actor who comes in only trying to portray what the script shows but not bringing in their own experiences, that can also get very lost and be very flat on screen. So I think having that balance is really the most important thing, and that's going to take practice.
How important is it for you to establish a strong emotional connection with your character, and how do you achieve that?
I think that's the most important thing. When you portray somebody else's story, there has to be emotion behind that. My whole career, as a psychiatrist has been learning people's emotions, learning people's stories, hearing extraordinary stories, and that's really what I'm drawn to. And here in the acting world, some people sort of see this as a different, side of my profession, but really it's kind of two sides of the same coin. I'm not only now getting to hear people's stories and respond to them, I'm actually getting to tell them. And there's something really powerful about that. To really bring a character's emotions to light, that's really the crux of it. That is the storytelling itself. Again, it's not about what's written or said, but it's all the other subtleties that are not written and said that really can make it or break it in a good film.
Are there any specific acting goals you set for yourself?
To be honest, I'm not setting any goals. Again, acting is an art, and I think if you set goals, you can be setting yourself up, in a way where the creativity can be lost. I really try to go into new projects with an open mind and try to absorb, to take in the experiences as they come and as they're sort of presented to me, rather than saying, this is what I'm going to achieve, this is how I'm going to do it, and this is what it's going to look like. I think doing that is actually a setup for the opposite of really what we're trying to do here.
You kind of touched on this a little bit, but how has your background and upbringing influenced your acting in this project?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, naturally, all actors, bring a piece of their own background into the parts that they play. And that's part of what makes these stories and the characters so beautiful. My background, I come from an immigrant family. They worked hard. I chose a profession where I could support my family, but that also allowed me to live in a place where art sort of underlies the success of the profession. And so as a psychiatrist, it is more of an art than it is a science. It's learning people's behaviors, learning people's emotions, learning what makes people do the things that they do. And years of doing that, human emotion is so complex. And so this is really the other side of the coin. being able to embrace now other people's stories, other people's emotions, being open to that, and actually telling that story, I think is a really unique thing. And so I'm just so grateful to be able to do that and to bring my own experience into each and every character that I get to play.
Can you share any personal experience or cultural influences from your upbringing that you feel has shaped your acting style?
My family is originally from India. My parents are immigrants. I'm an immigrant. I was born abroad, and I came here at a young age. And we have a survival story, as a lot of immigrants do. My parents worked. They worked a lot. And my brother and I were really, we grew up probably a little quicker than most people did. We learned to be independent. We learned to find our own way. We learned to advocate for ourselves. We learned to ask for whatever we needed. And there's something, I think, really unique about that. We didn't grow up in a culture and in a household where we were just told what to do. We got to create, we got to build, we got to play around with different things because we didn't have, that hard structure of somebody just telling us what to do, what to create, what to build. And I think from that is where, the art comes from. I think that's where the creativity comes from. Art is never a perfect thing. It's something that we create based on our own experiences. You're given an empty canvas, you throw black paint on it, and you realize, okay, that's not what I want it to look like. You get to paint over it. You get to create something completely different from it. And so I think that's really how my background has influenced where I've landed now in my professional life and in my acting life. I see really every opportunity as a new brushstroke on a canvas to make something and to create something new and better. And so I'm really grateful for that.
Has there been a particular role from your past that you can recall that allowed you to tap into your personal background in a meaningful way?
It's a good question. I think, again, every role presents that opportunity. I mean, every role offers something different than the last. And tapping into, the different parts of you is what makes each and every part so different. So I guess I would say every role in some way or another has, been able to do that. I played an Italian woman in a movie at one point. Every role sort of brings its own unique flavor to what, the life that you've already lived. So that's part of what is really, I think, enjoyable and unique about this process.
I'm glad you said that. I was going to ask you about typecasting. Have you felt like you've been typecasted in your acting career, or do you get variety of roles?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I think, I can see how a lot of actors kind of fall into that, but thankfully, no. And that is intentional. I mean, I really try not to let myself get typecasted into any one particular, person or, culture. I'm glad to sort of have a look and a skin tone that I think fits with different, cultures and different, people. I mean, so, I think a lot of times people sort of will look at me and say, "Where are you from?" You look Italian. I've seen, Somalian women that, can look like you. You might look Middle Eastern. So, again, I think having a certain look is an important thing, and that really has, even if I've, if the the external influences have been to try to typecast me. I think I haven't let that happen yet, and I won't let that happen.
So is there anything personal you'd like to share about your personal life? Are you married? Any kids?
Sure. I am married. I've been married for 11 years now. I have 2 children. I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. My daughter's name is Sophia, and my son's name is Sean. And my family is the light of my life. They're beautiful kids. We have a beautiful home. We have 2 dogs. My husband and I are both physicians. We live a busy life, but we give each other the opportunity to go out and explore and try new things. And I think that's just a really wonderful thing to have. So.
Look at that. Your face just lit up when I asked you.
I know.
Amazing.
That is, that's an easy one.
All right. That's all I have for you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I look forward to working with you.
Me too. Thanks so much.